A library so legendary that rulers crossed oceans to visit it, a place where humanity tried to gather every piece of knowledge ever written. This wasn't simply a library, it was an obsession. Its goal was nothing less than collecting the entire knowledge of the known world. Ships entering Alexandria's harbor faced an unusual rule. Any book on board could be copied, and sometimes permanently kept. The collection grew so quickly that people began believing every important idea on Earth eventually found its way here. Imagine the internet, every university, and every museum combined into one place. That's how ambitious this project truly was. Then, in 48 BC, war arrived. And with it came one of history's most controversial disasters. During a conflict involving Julius Caesar, fires broke out near the harbor. Soon, flames spread beyond control. Some ancient writers claimed the blaze reached the library's collections. If true, countless scrolls vanished that day. For centuries, people believed that was the end. One fire, one night, one irreversible loss. But historians eventually noticed a problem. References to the library kept appearing long after the famous fire. If the library died in Caesar's fire, then why do records suggest it was still alive decades later? The truth appears far stranger. Caesar's fire may have damaged parts of Alexandria's collections, but it likely didn't destroy everything. In fact, Alexandria remained one of the world's greatest intellectual centers for generations after the famous disaster. New scrolls arrived, new discoveries were made. The library had survived its first brush with destruction. Yet the danger hadn't passed. This time, the threat wouldn't come from invading armies. It would come from changing beliefs. The first disaster threatened the library's buildings. The second would threaten the very culture that kept it alive. By the 4th century, Alexandria was changing rapidly. Powerful new religious movements were reshaping the ancient world. Some institutions tied to older traditions suddenly found themselves vulnerable. The great centers of learning were no exception. Then came a series of violent confrontations that shook Alexandria. Ancient institutions became targets. Among them was the Serapeum, man's enormous temple complex connected to Alexandria's scholarly tradition. When the Serapeum was destroyed, many historians believe another huge portion of Alexandria's stored knowledge disappeared with it. This may have been the library's true fatal wound. Not one dramatic fire, but centuries of slow destruction. For centuries, people searched for the moment the Library of Alexandria truly died. But the deeper historians looked, the less clear the answer became. Maybe there was no single ending, no final night, no last librarian locking the doors forever. Instead, the library may have faded piece by piece through wars, politics, neglect, and changing priorities. And yet something extraordinary happened before the collections vanished. Much of the knowledge had already escaped. This is where the story takes an unexpected turn. The building may have died, but its ideas were already spreading across the world. Copies of important works traveled into Greece, Rome, North Africa, the Middle East, and beyond. Some texts were translated. Others were copied again and again. Knowledge became harder to destroy than stone walls. The library's shelves disappeared. Its buildings crumbled. But many of its ideas continued influencing civilization for centuries. In a strange way, the Library of Alexandria succeeded. It spread knowledge so far that destruction could never completely erase it. Maybe that's why the library refused to die. Not because its walls survived, but because its ideas did. The greatest mystery isn't how the Library of Alexandria was destroyed. It's how, more than 2,000 years later, parts of it may still be speaking to us through the books we read today.